Hi everyone, my name is Kurt Brown, and I'm a technology librarian at the Charleston County Public Library. In this video, we're going to learn a little bit more about JavaScript. This is the 8th and final web development video. So our goals in this video is to learn how to create an array and also how to create functions. And in the last video, we created if, else if, and else statements. We learned about the different types of errors we can come across while coding, and we also learned how to create an object. And here is a list of all the resources that I've used to learn how to code in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. All of these are very good resources, and I recommend you try all of these websites. So now, I'm going to leave the slideshow. Okay, so we're on our trusty repl.it website. Let's click on Start Coding. Okay, we'll scroll on down to where it says HTML, CSS, JS, and click Create. All right, so we're going to get rid of this. This is our HTML, CSS. We'll get rid of that. We'll be using HTML, CSS in this video. Okay, so I'm going to scroll our console up. Okay, and we won't be using our index.html file or our style.css. We'll be working in script.js. Okay. All right, so we are ready to begin. All right, so we're going to start with arrays. Okay. All right, so let's say I have a variable called cat1, and I give it a value of mittens. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste. So let's say I have a second variable, and I have another cat called Garfield. Okay, and what about a third cat called Oliver, and a fourth cat and we'll call him Charlie. Okay, so I have 4 variables. All right. Now, what if I had 150 cats? Do we really want to type var cat5, var cat6, and so on and so forth? All right, that would probably be a lot of work. All right, so now here's where arrays come in. All right, so an array is a special variable which can hold more than, more than one value at a time. Okay, so arrays hold more than one value at a time. All right, and there's a special way to set this up. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create an array. Okay, so var, all right, and let's call our array cats. Okay, now equals. So I'm going to use a square bracket, all right, and here we can type in our values. All right, so our first cat, I'm going to, okay, quotation marks, mittens. Now, when we move on to our next value, we'll need a comma, okay, and then we put in our second cat, okay, and a comma, next, okay, and then one more. All right, so this is how you set up an array, okay? So you have your variable name, all right, and name of your array, and then you type your items in, all right? And then one more thing we forgot to add, a semicolon, okay? So we can, let's say we wanted to access these values, okay? So one thing you need to know about arrays is that they are 0 indexed, okay? And what this means is that each position in the array has a number, and it starts with 0. Okay, so array indexes starts with 0. All right, so 0 this is our first element. Okay, 1 is our second element. All right, so for example, if I want to access, I'm going to console.log. If I want to access our 0th index, all right, what I'm going to do is use the name of the array, so cats. Okay, you have to use a square bracket and then 0, all right, and a semicolon. So now let's click run and let's see what happens. All right, so cat 0 is mittens, okay? And then same thing, so if I type in 1, okay, we should get Garfield, and 2, okay, Oliver. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if I type in 3, okay, we get Charlie. All right. Now, what if I wanted to find out the length of this array? Okay, if we want to find out the length of this array, we'll use the .length property. And so what that is, we'll use the name of our array, and then we'll type in .length. Okay, and click run. Okay, so we have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so the length of cats is 4. All right. So next, let's say what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of our 4 variables here because we won't need them anymore. But actually, before I delete it, do you see the difference? Okay, we typed in a lot less code than we did up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, so with this array, what we can do is go ahead and add and replace items if we needed to. All right, and so we add and replace items using the array index and the assignment operator. So now let's say I wanted to get rid of Charlie and I want to replace this with Oscar. Okay, so I want to get rid of Charlie and replace it with Oscar. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do this. So we're going to do cats. All right, so be careful. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 and equals. So now what we want to rename it, we're going to replace it with Oscar. Okay, and just to make sure, all right, so we're going to console.log. Okay, so we're going to console.log cats 3. Okay, so we should get Oscar. Okay, so as you can see, we have Oscar now. We replaced Charlie with Oscar. Okay, and we use that index, okay? So remember, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, let's say we want to add to our array. Okay, let's say we want to add to our array. What can we do? All right? So remember, 0, 1, 2, 3. So what I can do now is say cats and 4, okay, equals, and then what do we want our next cat to be? Let's call her Luna, okay, and a semicolon. And let's say I want to add one more cat, okay, equals, and we'll call this cat Artemis, okay, so semicolon. All right, now let's say I want to see the full array, okay? So if I want to see the full array, okay, so I'm going to do console.log, okay, and now you type in the name of your array, okay, and let's click run. Okay, so as you can see, we have our full array here. Okay, we replaced Charlie with Oscar here, and we added more. So we added Luna and we added Artemis. Okay, so I did console.log and then the name of your array, and you'll see the full array here. Okay? All right. So that is an array. Okay? And now I'm going to get rid of all of this. Actually, I'm going to get rid of the Let's get rid of all of this. Okay. And we're going to move on to one final thing, which is a function. Okay. And a function is a block of code designed to perform a task. Okay. All right. So a function is a block of code designed to perform a task. Okay, and a way to use a function, right, is to do this. So we'll use the keyword function. Okay, and then what do you want to name your function? All right. And then we have parentheses because we'll need parameters now. Okay, so parameter. All right. And then we'll have curly braces, and then your code is here, okay? And a lot of times, you'll see a return keyword in here, all right? And a return keyword just specifies what the value should return, okay? So now, let's learn how to create a function. All right, so what we're going to do is let's say I want to create a function that adds 3 to a number. Okay? So we have a function, all right, and I'm going to call it add 3. Okay, so we're adding 3 to a number. Okay? And so what I'm going to do, and we just need one parameter, we're going to type one number in, and we're going to add 3 to that. Okay, and curly braces. All right, and what are we returning? Return whatever number we're going to be using. Okay, we're going to add 3. Okay, and then a semicolon. All right, so now what I can do, console.log. Now let's say I want to use this function. Okay, so you will have to use the name of the function. All right, and parentheses our parameter. Okay, so we'll have to enter a number for x. Okay, and whatever that x is going to add 3 to it. Okay, so let's say I want to add 10 to 3. Okay, so console.log, the name of your function, all right, then your parameter, right? So I'm going to use 10. All right, so now let's click run. Okay, so as you can see, we called our function add 3. Right, it's going to add 10. Okay, so it's going to plug in the 10 here, add 3 to it, and it returns 13. Okay, so this is how you use a function. And the beauty of functions is that you can reuse this code over and over and over again. Okay, so I can get rid of the 10. I can add 100. Click run. Okay, so we get 103. Okay, and same thing, I can type in whatever number I want. Okay, so let's do 1,000 and click run. Okay, so this function is designed to add 3 to whatever number we use for our parameter. Okay, all right, so that's one function, and I want to show, we're going to be going over different functions for the remainder of this video. Okay, so next, let's say I want a function that's going to divide a number by 2. Okay, it's going to half a number. Okay, so again, function. All right, and then what do you want to call it? Well, let's call it half. Okay, we just need one parameter. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily have to be called x. Okay, I can call it number. All right, and curly braces. You just have to make sure you're consistent. Okay, so return that number. Okay, so just be really careful. And whatever that number is, going to divide it by 2. Okay, and a semicolon. And again, I'll come over here and console.log. All right, the name of your function, okay, your parameter, All right, so what are we going to be using as our number? Let's try 100. Okay, semicolon. And now we're ready to go. Okay, so let's click run. Let's see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, we get 50. All right, so we used 100 as our parameter, and our function is going to take that number and divide it by 2. Okay, so we get 50. All right, and again, the beauty of functions, we can reuse this code. Okay, so I can type in any number I want. Okay, and it's going to divide it by 2. Okay, and we use even numbers. We can use odd numbers as well. So let's just do 7. Okay, so as you can see, we get 3.5. All right. And again, feel free to play around, type in any number you want, click run. Okay, we get 500. All right. So now, let's step it up a little bit. Okay. So now I want to create a function that calculates a monthly paycheck. Okay. So I'm going to create a function that calculates a monthly paycheck. Okay, so function, and what do you want to call your function? Let's call it paycheck. Okay, now our parameter, let's use hours. Okay, and then curly braces. So now, this function, we're going to return, all right, so our hours, okay, so whatever number of hours you worked, I'm going to multiply it. So now let's say I have a business and all of my employees are making the same pay. So let's say they're all making $15.15. 50 cents, excuse me. All right. And then there's usually 4 weeks in a month. Okay. So we'll multiply it by 4. Okay. And a semicolon. Okay. So the number of hours that they've worked, we're going to multiply that by their base pay, which is $15.50. And we'll multiply that by the number of weeks, which is 4. Okay, so we're calculating a monthly paycheck here. Okay, so now all we need to do is console.log. All right, the name of our function. Okay, so paycheck. All right, and our parameter. Okay, so how many hours did one employee work? Let's say this employee is part-time. Let's say he worked 10 hours. Okay, he works 10 hours each week. Okay, at a base pay of $15.50 an hour. How much do I need to pay him for the month? Oop, I forgot. Okay, so $6.20. Okay, so I need to pay this person $6.20. Okay, and again, I can use this for the next employee. Let's say this employee works full-time. Okay, let's say he works 40 hours. Okay, so how much do I need to pay this employee? Okay, so $2,480. All right, and then what about the next employee? Let's say she worked 37 and a half hours. Okay, so I need to pay her $2,325. Okay, all right. So that was just a slight step up from what we've been doing so far. All right, and then the very last function I want to show you. We've been using one parameter so far, but we can use more than one, okay? So what I want to do, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to use 3 parameters, okay? I'm going to create a function that's going to multiply 3 numbers, okay? So I'm going to call this multiply, all right? Now, let's be careful. So we're going to have 3 numbers. Okay, so our parameters, let's just call them x, okay, and then comma, y, comma, z. Okay, so x, y, z, curly braces. Okay, so what are we going to return? Okay, so we're going to return, remember, the goal of this function is to multiply 3 numbers, okay? So I want to return x times y, okay, and then times z, all right, and a semicolon, okay? So now, all we need to do, console.log, okay, So you want to be real careful here, okay? Because we're using 3 parameters. So console.log, okay, so the name of our function, multiply, all right, parentheses. All right, so x, let's say I'm going to use 40, comma, okay, so be careful. We're using 3 parameters, okay? All right, and then the next number for y, let's say I have 25, comma, last number, let's say 17. Okay, so what's going to happen? It's going to multiply 40, it's going to do 40 times 25 times 17. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so we get 17,000. Okay, so 40 times 25 times 17 is 17,000. Okay, that's 3 parameters. Okay, we use 3 parameters here. Okay, and again, we can change these numbers. Okay, I can reuse this code. Okay, and let's do 67. All right, and click run. Okay, so we get 30,150. Okay, and again, if you wanted to, you can add an extra parameter, or you can just get rid of z, okay, and get rid of z here. All right, and we'll get rid of 67 here. Okay, so we have 2 parameters this time, and it multiplies 30 by 15. I mean, that's 450. Okay, and if we wanted to add a 4th parameter, let's call it a. Okay, so x times y times z times a. Okay, so we'll have to add 2 more. Okay, and let's say we do 25 and 10. Okay, so this will do 30 times 15 times 25 times 10. Okay, these are 4 parameters, so of course be very careful. Okay, so click run, and look what we have. All right, so that is functions, and that is the end of our web development series. Thank you so much for watching. I hope these videos have been very helpful. And please, again, pay attention to those resources that I showed you earlier. It will help you so much along your coding journey. All right, so thanks for watching.